Today's episode, we're going to be talking about my 14 chins.
That looks absolutely stunning.
Not something that I'm going to cry about or write home to my mother about.
I feel like the bad guy from Jurassic Park. Who ate all the Snickers? That boy right there. Oh man, that is seriously good cake.
That is massive, that could be an afro cone. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Artisan Electrics, where I'm back from holiday and I'm with Luke again, where we've got a pretty straightforward install today. Customer has asked for a hypervolt to be fitted just here, but there's no space on their garage board, so got to upgrade the garage board, make that a little bit bigger. And this is quite an interesting scenario. The cable coming out here isn't big enough to run the full load of the charger, I don't think, so we'll have to put some load limiting on it. And the hypervolt actually has load limiting built inside of it, well, a lot of the chargers do, but I'll show you how to do that, and yeah, we'll just crack on.
I've got to hand it to Hypervolt. That looks absolutely stunning. That is like, I think if I was to have a car charger, when I finally get that stonking great big pay rise, I'm going to get an EV, and that is going to be the car charger. Oh, it matches the downpipe. Fair play to him. I do think still that all the different chargers have different benefits. Like, I'm still a fan of the Anderson and still a fan of the Zappi, but I think in terms of, I don't know enough about the internals, tech and programming and the future-proof plans that Hypervolt have got, but in terms of aesthetics at the minute, I think Hypervolt have got the crown with this. I guess actually you could say the Anderson if you want it, like if you're after the wooden look or something like that, but that is very pretty. Right, Luke, if you want to get that charger mounted, maybe don't place the holster just yet.
No, yeah,
the customer maybe decide, but yeah, we'll just put it sort of a nice distance below that, maybe at the top of it to that brick there, so we're missing that light.
Yeah. Have you got your hypervolt bracket?
I have, yeah. If you open the side door, SDS drawer, it's underneath the SDS drill. So I've not actually seen inside this board yet, but I've seen the job spec on Tradeify. I like that. Yes, it's quite a small cable coming in, but I reckon you might be able to get the full 32 amps on it, to be fair. So I'll go check what size breaker it's on. It's something I'll show you here, which can't say I'm a huge fan of it when people do this. When you strip back an SWA cable, paint marker, off topic, but I love it. I feel so empowered when I have this paint marker. I literally just want to paint absolutely everything. Come up close, Maximus. Can you see that there? Right. I don't like it when you strip back the inner sheath of an SWA that far. Really, you want it to come in at least a centimetre or two into the board, because this now could start to chafe on that. If you put some sort of female bush or something like that on the threads to protect it, it's probably not as bad, but just having the sharp edge of the thread against the inner cores, I find a bit rough. I usually like to bring them in a centimetre or two and even put a cable tie around it to prevent that splitting open. But not something that I'm going to cry about or write home to my mother about, but it is obviously an observation that I thought I'd share with you as a tip for when you're making off SWA cables. Right, I'm going to go inside the house. I was just talking to these boys about intermittent fasting and these different things. Like, fortunately now I don't really, well, it sounds really arrogant, I don't struggle with weight. I'm not exactly perfectly in shape, but I don't really have to think about it. And they're like, oh, and I bet you never have. That's not true. I just found a couple of pictures from my apprentice portfolio of little chunky monkey Cory. Look at that. But the one thing I can say is he was definitely happy, wasn't he? He had like, who ate all the Snickers? That boy right there. And I've got more. They get worse. Oh my god. So yeah, I do know a thing or two about fasting, Max. But all I do now is just, I'm always fidgeting. I'm always moving.
Exactly. That's why you lose weight, I think.
I think I'm so like if I've got a day off, I'll never just sit there. I'll always end up building something or doing something or going somewhere. I can't sit still. So I think that's why I probably can eat more. Yeah, I just thought you might appreciate those little fatty pictures. Hopefully they get made into a meme somewhere. Garage. Oh, I see. So it's on a Type A RCD already. Ideally, I want to take that garage off of the RCD. I don't think that was in our spec of works, but it's not really much drama for me to do, so I might just do it. Because otherwise we won't get selectivity, because we'll have two 30 milliamp instantaneous Type A RCDs. Oh, that is a lovely consumer unit. Fair play. Again, no company name. Guys, if you're doing beautiful work, don't be so humble about it. Leave a sticker or something, and I will shout you out. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll move this over. I might even see if I can stick that on a 40 as well. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that out, shift this all along one, cut the bus bar off, and stick another bit of bus bar across there so that it's in a non-RCD way. Because the thing is, it's protected anyways by a armoured cable. So one thing I will point out, right, I've said this before in an episode, and I'll say it again, it's so controversial. But you notice he hasn't used any grommet strip on the entries. Personally, I always do use a grommet strip, especially on the tails, because you can see there it has bitten through a tiny bit on the outer insulation of the mains tails. However, I do still believe, although I won't do it, I do still believe that if you've properly filed your metal, filed it so much that you're happy to lick it, then really there shouldn't be too much of an issue having cables or whatever rest against it, especially if they're not going tight round the corner or anything like that. But with mains tails, I do think it is a bit risky, because let's face it, they're always going to be under pressure, aren't they? They're always bending and pushing in tight like they are there. So I can't give the board 10 out of 10, but it will get a solid 7. Yeah, see, just along there, it needs to be grommet strip along there, so you can see a little bit where the outer insulation's worn away on the mains tails there. One other thing as well, as you notice, you've got the twin and earth is stripped outside of the enclosure, which I'm not a fan of, so that does drop it another point as well. This knife needs sharpening big time. Dull knives are dangerous. Oh, cheers. This is from the interview.
Pardon?
These are from the interview, aren't they?
No.
No?
You don't get to keep that.
Didn't you?
No.
Oh yeah, that was my bad. Jordan suggested that everyone keep this stuff.
You said no,
and I was
keep it
like,
for ourselves.
It's like, you know.
They would have come in handy. I wouldn't have to buy me Klein screwdrivers then.
Oh mate, we would have got you Klein screwdrivers.
I was going to say you had 4 sets there.
I was like, oh, keep them for Ruben, you know, and can't believe I talked him into being stingy. That's my bad. He was actually being quite generous. I feel like the bad guy from Jurassic Park. Got one other small complaint about the way the board's been done, and that is the cables are so short. Although it looks really pretty, it's like when people cram tons of zip ties into a board without any slack. It looks lovely until you have to move or change something. If I do a board like this, well, you've seen me do probably 10,000 consumer units on the channel, I'll put a load of slack underneath and bring it in, and I'll lose slack up there as well before I bring it in, so that although it looks like that, you can actually pull another 200-300 mil of cable out for if there's ever a future board change. But say like this, all I want to do is move it to over there, and I just cannot get enough slack on it, which is really a shame, because I don't want to extend it, and also I don't want it to look super ugly. But at the end of the day, safety over aesthetics. I don't think you can drill on that really, because they just pop out. They're quite annoying.
Drill there.
Yeah, drill next to it. And
what's that, 25 mil?
that is 20 mil.
20.
20 mil, and then another
Cool.
20 mil, probably a 25 for this.
Yeah. Not a fan of your footage from the other day, mate. What? Making me look 8 months pregnant.
We have got wicked customers, I've got to say. God, let's try this. Oh man, that is seriously good cake. Hats off to the chef. Compliments to the chef. When I bake, it's condolences to the chef. Right, let's go. Have a look. I think this is the thumbnail right here.
Trainee works while Cory eats cake.
Wait, if I wasn't eating this cake and I did it all, would you be getting any better?
No, exactly.
Well, there we go then.
So you can...
Wait, is there rose petals on this? Shut up. There's little bits of flour on there, like Flower.
Not flour.
You don't want to get those two mixed up. When your wife's like, you never buy me flowers, you don't even know what my favourite flower is. Yeah, I do, self-raising. I look like 17-year-old me again. Stop being such a baby.
Right, so I've took the old board off, put the new one on and fixed it in. I've got this power coming in from the house. So I've got this from the car charger, so I'm just going to neatly clip it around here, along this level, bring it up through the bottom here, then start terminating it into the board.
Right, so this is actually Luke's first ever consumer unit. So I've completely taken a back seat from it. I've done everything that I can do now. So we'll just focus on helping him get his one done and answer any questions he's got and stuff. But I'm pretty confident he'll be fine with it. That one's the earth, that one's the earth, so that can just go straight up.
Yeah.
These two can go along. That can just go in there.
Uh-huh.
That's going to go in your neutral bar.
Yep.
Yeah, it will go in to the corresponding terminal. So if you've got the main earth in there, and then that's circuit one. So yeah, that'll go in
circuit
earth
one.
number one.
And obviously you've got 16, that's the sockets.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll go number 2. And the lighting on number 3.
Yeah, so the 2.5 in the 16 and the 1.5 in the 6. But what you want to do to make it easier for people working in the future,
keep the cable that level.
lose slack. Yeah. So like get a bit of slack down there.
Yeah.
Get a bit of slack up there. Shove it right in.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then loop it round. So although it still looks nice and neat,
yeah.
you've actually got, like, imagine if you're changing the board.
Yeah.
You've got all of that to play with now.
Cool.
First of all,
Actually, got some coming down, some so it's hard.
try and just,
Straighten
with your
them out.
cables, you could just straighten them up with your fingers.
Yeah.
So it just always looks neater when you've got nice straight cables.
Yeah.
So what you can even do is pop them out, and you want to do it in a way that you're not bending them, because you don't want to snap the solid core inside. But I'll just straighten them out, spin out any twists and kinks, just give it a little rub.
Yeah.
Get it really nice and straight and neat, so you can see straight away that looks like a new cable now. And then I'll push it up out the way.
Yeah.
Again, keeping all the slack, and then just pop it in. See, straight away it's like a different cable.
Yeah.
Nice job doubling it over as well, if that was you. And for this one it's a bit bigger, it's actually alright. For these, put your finger in there, you can get a bit of conduit.
Yeah.
If you want a bit of PVC conduit.
Just curl them around your finger.
Just curl them around. Take this one out for now. But the more you do, the more you won't think about dressing them, it just sort of happens.
Yeah.
But get your finger in there so they're all the same, so that they're all the same height, and I'll just bend them back around my finger. Like that.
Yeah.
Then as well, if someone puts an RCBO or something a bit taller in there in future, it's not going to be conflicting and hitting it. Yeah. I just think a straight cable is a nice neat cable. And you've still got all the same length, it's just folded up there.
Yeah.
That way. So you see already that looks a bit neater.
Yeah.
Little tip as well, if I want to straighten these out, I'll get my long nose pliers. You can put a bit of tape or something on them, but I'm not really going to go too hard on these.
Yeah.
And just give them a little squeeze like that. You see that straight away straightens them out with very little effort. They're now straighter. So now when you look back at it, now when you look back at it, all of these are the same height. Really, I'd like that to swoop down at the same level as well as that. All of these are the same height. If you really wanted it to be extra as well, don't have colours crossing. I have all my colours out the way, separate, so I want to see a green and yellow going behind the browns. Tuck that back. I'd probably swap that for heat shrink, so that is a bit neater, having that cut edge going along there. I mean, we're not working in Michel Roux's kitchen. It doesn't really, have to get too carried away. But these little tips literally will take you 30 seconds. As you're doing it, just as I'm putting a cable in, wrap it around, measure it, chop it, strip it, put it in. Next one, wrap it around my finger, measure it, chop it, strip it, and you see already it's looking just a little bit neater, isn't it? Something I like doing as well, if I'm doing a board, a car charge or whatever, I'll just get the table out and you can have all your mess and stuff on there, and it just means you're not bending over all the time. You see bricklayers doing it, building up a little thing to work off of. I don't know why we don't do the same, because at the end of the day, over the course of a whole career, all that bending over, you just end up with a bad back. So I was like having that just to work from. So that is our tool of the day today. Find a link for that in the description below. Do you think you could do it better?
What, for this bit?
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like, it's completely sign-offable.
Yeah. Do you mean with the heat shrink and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, it's just...
I'll grab some for you.
Yeah, no, I've never... No one else does that sort of thing. Well, should I say?
That's why we're the
I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. But...
So with these extra cores, I know usually it's a fantastic idea to keep them, but we've got so much slack. If you really needed the extra cores, we'll just strip it back a bit more. So I'll just chomp them off. I'll slide this heat shrink on, probably not even that much really. The thing is, with stuff like this, it's true, it's not really necessary, but being a premium service especially, you've got to justify, you've got to give something tangible to show why we are worth the extra money, basically. If there is a way of doing something better, like whether or not you figure it out, or even a comment or something says, oh, why didn't you do it that way? I usually go, good point, why didn't I do it that way? Because if you can stand back from a job at the end of it and say, oh, there's a way I could have done that better, then next time do it better, basically. That's the only way you're going to stay top mustard, top gravy. Yeah, so I'm keep pushing it that way, and as I'm pushing it, I'm shrinking it down. Really, we need to just buy cordless heat guns. I need to get on that. That is massive. That could be an afro comb, that.
Oh, really?
I want to reverse, set the record straight. I got a lot of messages on Instagram telling me to check out the new Thomas Nagy video. And to be honest, as you might have guessed by now, my concentration outside of work is no good. Like, to sit down and watch more videos of people working, doing what I've already done all day, is not something that appeals to me too much. When I'm watching YouTube, it's usually moronic videos of people blowing stuff up or doing stupid things or spearfishing or whatever. So I'm not a massive electrical YouTube watcher, probably because I do it all the time as my actual day job. But I do, however, have massive respect for all of the YouTubers that do it. Well, for a start, Mr. B. Yundy sending me this, like, that was pretty amazing of him. That's probably like a year's salary living up that way. Probably could buy a house or two with, what that bag's worth where he lives. So I really appreciated that. But I just wanted to say, Tom, if you are watching this, I doubt you are, but if you are, mate, no one's got a knife for your back. Well, at least I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty confident the main sort of YouTube electricians, Chris, CJR, Nick, Jordan, myself, Lee, like, they're all absolutely lovely guys. Every single one of them, if you actually put the time into getting to know us and them, they're lovely. Like, I've never heard anyone of them say anything bad about any of the others. All of them are really genuine top blokes, and it's not a competition either, like you mentioned about that. I completely agree. It's not a competition. Everyone's in it with their different audience, their different parts to play. I've learned something from all of them, and like, all of them are doing good things for the industry, like Nick with his talks on mental health and that kind of thing. Chris doing his running and everything, like, for charity, which, by the way, I'm totally going to try and get all of the Artisan boys on to do a 10K with him. So I think maybe the issue there, again, I can't speak without knowing the full facts, but I agree, Paul Meenan, total legend, as are all of the E5 guys, all of the E-Fix guys, all of them, because ultimately their motive is to teach people and to help people and to improve an industry which has been going down the route of getting dangerous, but everyone's making it a bit safer. Sure, I'm sure everyone's profiting along the way, but realistically, if you was to put the amount of hours you put into YouTube editing, etc., into just running a business, you're probably not really going to be far different. So there is a positive outcome from all of this YouTube pachango. I look forward to watching Nathan try to caption pachango, however he wants to spell it. So maybe the only issue here is mindset. Let's be positive, look for the good in everyone, and especially the people that you think might wish you bad. If someone genuinely does wish you bad, the chances are it's probably their issue. They're probably not very happy in their life. So just give them sympathy and crack on and be happy and do good electrical work. Right, that's my record over, and that's set the thing straight. And if you want to go out for a pint, we'll go out for a pint and we can talk about it more. I'll bring the company card. We're going to link out this side.
Yep.
We're not going to worry about parallel paths because it's really, really not something I'm going to lose sleep about in this situation. At college, did you have the individual testers in the boxes, the Robins? Or?
No, we use the big mega testers.
Yeah, so what I learned with, on some sites as well, is we had individual testers. So you had your low ohm resistance meter, you had your installation tester, you had your RCD tester, your loop impedance tester, etc. And each person would be even sometimes given a different tester and be like, right, you go do this test, you go do that test. This is all of those different test machines put into one box. In the olden days, installation resistance, you'd have to wind up, and seriously...
Oh, you're not actually joking?
No, I'm serious. You used to have to wind it up, and that would create enough current for you to do your test with.
Yep.
Like a little capacitor bank or whatever in there. But nowadays, it's all on there. So when you see these, just see them as separate testers, right? So you've got U, which is obviously voltage. You know, you think UO, UL, etc. ISO, installation resistance. R low, that's low resistance ohm meter. That's for R1 plus R2, etc. RCD, loop impedance. And don't really worry about these ones just yet. These are earth rods and things which we're not dealing with right now. So in this situation, you want to start with your installation, your R1 plus R2. So you're going to go on R low. And the first thing you want to do, if you remember, is null your leads. Yep. So just get rid of this. Just tuck that in there. I've lost the green one.
I was going to say, you got all different leads combined.
Yeah, just touch those two together. Hold them really tight. You want it on the solid part of the clip.
Yep.
In fact, we'll null this out with it because we'll be really, really belt and braces. Touch that against there, and then you see there, that's a little symbol for calibrate. So touch that. I feel like I've got Korean fried chicken breath now.
Can't test it right.
There you go. So now it's removed 0.24 off the reading. So now that's completely null. So you're not measuring your leads.
Yep.
So I'm going to go in here.
Yep.
Going to connect onto the earth bar. I'll tell you what, just because you're being taught, I will take it out the earth bar. Really, I want to be completely honest, I really don't care if it's connected into the earth bar. People talk about parallel paths and things, but in the real world, if that's ever going to make a difference, then shoot me down.
So obviously you've only got one clip, Corey. Can I just hold that onto the end of this?
You can, but don't get in the habit of it, because if you get into the habit of touching that end, and then you just get into the habit of that without thinking, one day you're going to be doing another test like installation resistance or ZS and touch it and get a belt off it from experience. So just get into the habit of using these probes.
Cool. 0.02.
0.02. So then what we'll do as well, what would you expect the resistance between?
To be the same as Earth and Live.
Yeah, because they're the same size. So I'll swap that over.
Yep.
0.01. So there you go, within the calibration of the thing. So if there was lots of connections there, you've just proven that there's no loose connections, no issues. So now you've done that. Everything's switched off. You can do some installation resistance. Now you've confirmed that everything's connected the right way round and that there's no breaks in the cable. You can do installation resistance. So we're going to test. We can test at 500 volts. That would be the standard for this.
So start off at 230.
Start off at 230, just in case that was connected, and then you'll see and you've not broken it.
Yep.
So go back. Just to connect it on for you, just because I'm standing here.
Yep.
So I'm going to test first of all between Live and Earth. What reading are you expecting?
230.
No, not
Greater than
voltage.
200.
How much resistance? Greater than 200.
200,
That's
yeah.
correct, yeah. So, and now between line and neutral. Awesome. And between neutral and line. So what would be the minimum reading, resistance reading that you deem acceptable by regs?
Great.
2 mega ohms.
2 mega ohms, yeah.
Yeah, realistically, if it's 2 mega ohms, you got an issue, yeah. But on a new install. But now you've done it at 250, you've confirmed there's definitely no loads connected.
So you do it at 500.
You can up it, yeah, but we won't bother showing that. So my job at the minute, part of it, is to get guys like Luke, Ruben, different people who are already good electricians. Basically, they've got tons of potential, and then get them to that next level point where they can go out and do jobs to a really good quality on their own. So we figured, seeing as we're training, it makes sense to film it, because loads of people on this exactly the same journey as Luke. Might as well put it on the internet because it might be useful to someone watching. So we've gone through the other tests. The next test we want to do is ZS, so our earth loop impedance, but we're going to achieve that by calculation. It's made up of 2 parts basically. So if this is your install, right, you've got your charger here. You've got your consume unit here. I did 14 years in art school for this. My moment I've been waiting for my whole entire life. I've drawn that way not big enough. So call this earth fault loop impedance. You've got your load over here, consume unit here or distribution board. Coming in from over here, let's just draw a supply transformer, yeah? Let's just, for ease sake, split it in half and say it's a TT system. All right, so if we draw the circuit in here, coming out of our MCB, going over, we're not worried about the neutral in this situation, into our load, okay? And let's say that this has got a metal chassis on it, and this is earthed, okay? So this is connected onto the metal chassis here, goes through to, go through to the consume unit, and then out of the consume unit into our main earthing terminal. Then it's going to come, we'll just label that MET, main earthing terminal. Then it's going to come out of that into an earth rod in the ground. It's a really, really long earth rod. Draw some ground here, some nice grass, maybe even a flower. Okay, so that's in the ground, your earth rod, bum, 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 and that's connected up. So that would be a what system? TT. So that's a TT system. All right, so under normal working circumstances, if this conductor is not live, there's nothing going down there. You've got your supply coming in overhead. Just say it's coming straight in through your fuses, etc., into your main switch, out of your main switch into your MCB, off to the load and back. But, oh no, bump, 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 there's a fault. This now has become live. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that this is extremely low resistance, so that in the circumstance of a fault, if you've got really, really low resistance, then you're going to have, and the voltage is set, then you're going to have really high current. So you want that current coming down there to be as high as possible to operate this safety device as quickly as possible. We have minimum standards that are set for us in our ZS tables. This has got a fault, so now your electricity has got a loop, a fault loop. Under a normal circumstance, it's coming down the neutral back to the consume unit and then back again to the other side of your transformer. But in this circumstance of a fault, it's coming down and it's making contact to the metalwork. It's now coming down down the earth terminal, back down again, underground, bump, 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 up again, and round. And that fault will keep going round and round and round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you've got your earth fault loop. So that's only a loop in the circumstance of a fault. So we want to ensure that this resistance is as low as possible to get high current. It's an inverse law. So really low resistance, really high current, quick operation of circuit breaker to achieve your disconnection times, your 0.4. But this is split up into 2 parts. So you have your test here, which we've done, R1 plus R2. So that is measuring that. So from there and back. And then this section here is your ZE. So that's your external impedance.
Yep.
So when you disconnect the earth out of the main earthing terminal and do your ZE, you're measuring that loop
so
there.
Your ZS, your ZE plus R1R plus R2.
That's it. So ZS equals R1 R1 plus R2 plus your ZE. So some people do it the other way round.
Yeah.
They won't do their R1 plus R2. You could get your ZE, take off your ZS, and then you get your R1 plus R2, but it's not good to do it that way.
Yep.
It's always better because, while R1 plus R2 confirms polarity, it does a lot of other things that ZS won't do. In some situations, everyone does it. Like, I'll be honest, there's been times where I've done it, but it's better not to. The by-the-book way is to measure your R1 plus R2, which really doesn't take long, especially with these gadgets and different things now. There's really no excuse not to. Measure your ZE, achieve your ZS. Make sense?
Yep.
So we've already got our R1 plus R2, so now we just need to get our ZE, which in this case would be ZdB, impedance back to the dB because this is a submain, but it goes in the same part of the certificate. And then we've got our ZS measurement.
Cool.
Inside a coil, I think they're changed now because they've got more electronics and things, but you'd have your live coming in. I'm going to pretend I don't see it. And your neutral coming in, I don't know what you're talking about. Your iPods or your or your iron egg, right? Going off to... And then this coil, it's a coil, all right?
Yeah. Even with the cameraman laughing.
This is not... That is a coil.
That is the worst drawing I've ever seen in my
What are you
life
talking
of
about?
informative information.
I didn't see it until you pointed it out, and I still don't see it. I can't remember the symbol.
Let's look online for the drawing.
Maybe look online. That's it. That's the job done. Hopefully it's been useful. Did you find that
Yeah,
all
I
right?
learned a lot this time. Well, not that I don't anyway, but no, you helped and taught me quite a few things today I didn't know.
Good. And it's one of them things, once you've done one,
Yeah.
they're all the same.
Yeah.
There's not really that much to it, is there?
No, just more cables.
Yeah. So, great. Hopefully that was helpful. And there's been a ton of conversations today. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are entirely not representative of Artisan Electrics. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.